In what seemed like the highlights of the evening, Deola slipped and fell into the buffet of food which had been carefully arranged for the event while she was struggling with the security guards, and this completely ruined the dress. Deola was finally thrown out of the premises. The next morning, Deola woke up in an unknown uncompleted building, but not with the first lady's dress on. She could feel her head ache badly. She wondered how she got to where she was. The last thing she could recall was that she was in a taxi on the afternoon of the previous day and was going to deliver the first lady's dress, but that was all she could remember. Then she suddenly remembered the dress. The dress! Where is the dress? Deola asked herself with panic on her face. Miss Sade, or Sisi Sade, as she is popularly called by her customers, is a young woman in her late 20s who grew up as a poor orphan. Her parents died 3 years apart as they were met with an untimely death, and so Miss Sade grew up with her poor, struggling grandmother in their tiny hut. Growing up, Miss Sade had always loved the art of dressmaking. Every day when she was done with her chores, young Sade would stand just a few steps from the entrance of Iyakemi's tailoring shop, which was just a few steps from their own huts. As she stood, she would stretch her neck forward in an attempt to get a view of the dresses Iyakemi and her girls were making. After some time, Iyakemi noticed that young Sade was interested in the sewing crafts, and without demanding a fee, she allowed her into the shop to watch and learn from them. Sade was a very smart girl and a fast learner. Within 2 months of watching Iyakemi and her girls cut and sew fabrics, Sade was able to perfectly do the same. She began to make dresses for herself and her grandmother using her grandmother's old wrappers. Also, Sade possessed an excellent creative mind and was able to make extraordinary and beautiful designs on the dresses she makes. Iyakemi was happy and pleased with Sade, as Sade's presence in her shop and her skilled and creative mind attracted more customers to her. As the years progressed, Sade grew better and exceptionally well in dressmaking. But then, she wanted more. She wanted to scale beyond being just an ordinary village tailor. Her dream was to go to one of the best fashion schools in the city of Lagos and to be an international dressmaker and make dresses for important personalities. Sade kept speaking to her grandmother and Iyakemi about her dreams. Then, one afternoon, her grandmother called her into her presence. Iyakemi, who had also paid them a visit that afternoon, was also around. And in what was a miracle and a dream come true for Sade, her grandmother handed a really large sum of money to her and said that the money was meant for her to go to her dream fashion school. Sade's grandmother had sold their only piece of land to raise the money, and Iyakemi, having loved Sade so dearly, also added parts of the money. Sade was so happy. She hugged her grandmother tightly and then moved to hug Iyakemi also. And so, that was how Sade was able to attend a dream fashion school in the city of Lagos. Once again, Sade's exceptional creative skills made her graduate as the best graduating student of the Fashion Academy in her time. Now called Miss Sade, her fashion house attracted many important clients. A good number of wealthy rich men patronized Sade, and Sade in return gave them the best for their money. She made excellent dresses, and every dress she sews fits her customers perfectly with no adjustments at all. Apart from just making clothes, Sade also began training people who came to her for her to train them in the crafts of dressmaking. These people became her interns and apprentices. Sade was also a good teacher of her crafts. Everyone learning under her are able to quickly grasp all she teaches. Also, after these interns and apprentices complete their training and also go ahead to other cities to open their own fashion houses, they do exceptionally well, because Sade not only teaches them how to design and to sew, but also how to excel in the financial and management aspects of the fashion business. Now, one amongst Miss Sade's new interns was a young girl of 24 years old called Deola. Deola seemed to be like Miss Sade. She wasn't just a fast learner, but she also possessed an exceptional creative mind. She could think of great, amazing designs, and when she brings them to life on the dresses she makes, it made people open their mouths in admiration. Sade was also pleased with Deola. She prided in the fact that she, being Deola's teacher, Deola was doing so well and was making her proud. Now, just like most apprentices and fashion interns, Deola has a sewing machine at home, so she gets to make clothes outside work for her family and friends, and this was when the issue began. It was one Saturday morning. Deola was at home. Saturdays and Sundays were work-free days, as that was the term and agreement she had right from the time she became an intern at Sade's fashion house. She was done with her usual Saturday morning chores that day, so she picked up a fabric to cut and sew which belonged to her cousin. As Deola was at it, her phone rang. Deola picked up her phone and looked at it to know who was calling, but it was not someone she knew, because it was only the caller's number that appeared on the screen. "Hello, good morning," Deola said slowly after taking the call, while she awaits the person on the other end to speak. "Good morning. Am I speaking to one Miss Deola Rotimi?" the caller asked. It was a woman's voice, and from the way she spoke and the sound of her voice, Deola could tell that the woman was someone mature. "Yes, this is Deola Rotimi. Please, how may I be of help, ma'am?" Deola replied. "Well, my name is Mrs. Abosede Taiwo Peters. I saw a dress you made for someone. I love it, and I would love for you to make something similar for me also," the woman replied. Deola froze. Did the woman just say she was Mrs. Abosede Taiwo Peters? Abosede Taiwo Peters, the wife of the state governor, the first lady of the states. Abosede Taiwo Peters, the first lady? Deola asked, stuttering as she was yet to come to the realization that the person speaking to her is truly who she says she is. "Yes, Abosede Taiwo Peters, first lady of the states," the caller said. The caller told Deola that she had attended the baby's dedication of her old schoolmate the previous Sunday, and that she liked the dress her old schoolmate was wearing. Upon her inquiry, she was told that it was one Miss Deola Rotimi that made the dress and was given Deola's mobile number. The woman told Deola to come see her in her office at the state's government house so she can take her body measurements and so they can properly discuss the terms of making the dress. When the call ended, Deola was still in shock and somewhat in doubt. She remained and stood at the spot she was before taking the call, with her mouth wide open for some time. "What is it? Are you okay, Deola?" Her mother, who had just walked into her room to tell her to come have her breakfast first before she proceeds to make the dress, asked when she saw Deola standing and looking shocked. Deola told her mother about the call she just received. Her mother also confirmed that the said woman whose baby dedication she also attended, because the woman happened to be her colleague at work, actually told her that the first lady had asked for Deola's number when she saw the dress Deola made for her. But Deola's mother said that she had not taken the woman seriously because the first lady was a very stylish woman with high fashion taste and sense, and was not one who allowed just anybody to make her clothes. "I guess you are really favored though, and the hard work and passion you put into making these dresses have favored you out," Deola's mother said to her daughter, and hugged her happily for her good fortune. Now, even as Deola was seated at the reception of the First Lady's office that Monday morning, she was still in doubt until the First Lady's secretary told her that the First Lady was ready to see her and that she could go in. Deola walked into the First Lady's office, and there she was, standing right before the First Lady of the state. "So it is true. This is real," Deola muttered under her breath. Deola had called to take permission from Miss Sade and informed her that she was going to be a bit late to work that morning. So, when she was done from the First Lady's office and immediately she arrived at work, Deola ran straight to Miss Sade's office to break the good news to her and told her that the First Lady contacted her to make a dress for her. Beyond the boss-intern relationship, Miss Sade and Deola also have a good cordial relationship between them. So, Deola hugged Miss Sade as she broke the good news to her. "Thank you for teaching me so well. It is only because you have taught me so well, and that is why I have this opportunity today," Deola said, still hugging Miss Sade with a warm smile. "Oh really? This is such a good news. Congratulations, my dear," Miss Sade said. Now, the occasion for which the First Lady contacted Deola to make the dress for is the occasion of the state's annual Thanksgiving anniversary, which was in few days' time. Deola worked day and night to complete the dress and ensured that the dress was sewn to perfection. When she was done, she was convinced that the dress was the best dress she had ever made. She took it to the First Lady for fitting, and the dress fits perfectly well. "The dress is so beautiful. You exceed my expectations. Well done, Deola," the First Lady said. Deola had suggested to add beads to the hem of the sleeves before now, but the First Lady had said no. But upon seeing how beautiful the dress turned out to be, she agreed with Deola that adding the beads to the hem of the sleeves would make the dress more beautiful and stand out. And since there was time, and it was still 4 days left to the Thanksgiving anniversary, she told Deola to add the beads, and so Deola had to take the dress back home so as to add the beads. The eve of the state's anniversary Thanksgiving was also the birthday of the state's governor, and on that evening, the governor was having his birthday bash. Only few people were invited, and Deola was not one of those people. However, because the First Lady had been expecting Deola to deliver her dress since morning that day, Deola was allowed into the government house when she informed the security that she was there to deliver the dress, and after the security had put a call through and got the confirmation that they should allow Deola in. The birthday bash was holding in one of the banquet halls of the government house, and the First Lady was seen welcoming the guests and exchanging pleasantries when Deola walked in. And to the shock of the First Lady, She saw Deola wearing a dress, the same dress meant for the anniversary Thanksgiving the next day. If she had not ordered the fabric directly from the suppliers from Spain, she would have said that Deola probably bought the same fabric in the market after seeing her own. And if the style and design of the one on Deola right now was not the same style and exact design she had chosen and which Deola had actually brought to show to her a few days back when she brought it for fitting, then she would have still tried to convince herself that she was wrong about the fabric. Now, filled with rage but still maintaining her composure, the First Lady went to Deola and pulled her to a corner. Deola, am I dreaming? Is this not my dress? Or did you somehow manage to order same fabric and make same design for yourself within 1 week? The First Lady asked, still trying to convince herself that she was dreaming and hoping that Deola would tell her that it was not her dress. Yes, it is your dress, but as a good designer that I am, I decided to model the dress here at your party so that your guests would know that I am the one who made it by the time they see you on it tomorrow, Deola replied in a strange, rude manner. The First Lady couldn't believe that Deola would wear a dress and still have the effrontery to say those words to her. In anger, she raised her hand and was about to hit Deola, but then she controlled herself and refrained from doing so. She asked her PA and another security officer to quietly escort Deola out to avoid creating a scene. But instead of Deola to quietly walk out, she began struggling with the security personnel, attracting the attention of the guests and ruining the First Lady's efforts to prevent a scene. Now, in what seemed like the highlights of the evening, Deola slipped and fell into the buffet of food which had been carefully arranged for the events while she was struggling with the security guards, and this completely ruined the dress. Deola was finally thrown out of the premises. The next morning, Deola woke up in an unknown uncompleted building, but not with the First Lady's dress on. She could feel her head ache badly. She wondered how she got to where she was. The last thing she could recall was that she was in a taxi on the afternoon of the previous day and was going to deliver the First Lady's dress, but that was all she could remember. Then she suddenly remembered the dress. The dress! Where is the dress? Deola asked herself with panic on her face. She looked around where she was for the dress but couldn't find it. With her head still aching badly and confused but determined to find the dress, Deola decided to go back home first to check properly again. When she got to her house, Deola was surprised to see some policemen. The policemen were interrogating her mother. Deola went closer, and that was when she learnt that the policemen were there to arrest her for breach of contract. After what happened the previous night, the First Lady was too angry to think when she sent Deola out. But just few minutes after she had sent Deola out, she came to the realization that what Deola had done was a breach of contract, and so she sent her security men after her immediately. But somehow, Deola suddenly disappeared as the security men could not find her despite how much they searched for her that night. And that is why they are at her house the next morning to arrest her. Well, Deola denied ever doing something like that. She tried to explain to them that she knew nothing about the incident of the previous night at the governor's birthday bash. She even claimed that she wasn't able to make it to the government house to deliver the dress because she'd suddenly passed out whilst she was in the taxi and only found herself this morning in an uncompleted building. The policemen did not believe Deola and were about to take her away when the First Lady's secretary, who had come with them to arrest Deola, received a call. The call was from the First Lady. She called to tell them to stop the arrest because they had just found out that Deola was indeed innocent and that it was someone else who had impersonated her by wearing a mask. The person had entered the government house wearing a mask and looking like Deola. Then, before entering the banquet hall, the person had gone into the ladies' restroom to change into the First Lady's dress, which she appeared in at the banquet hall. But while she was changing into the dress, the mask, which was a replica of Deola's face, came off. She put it back on after putting on the First Lady's dress. Unknown to the impersonator, there was a surveillance camera in the ladies' restroom, and it was how the security personnel got to know that morning after having taken a look at the surveillance footage of the previous night. Well, this impersonator was Miss Sade. For a long time, even before Deola became an intern, Miss Sade had admired the First Lady and her great sense of fashion. Miss Sade had dreamt and wanted so much to have the honor of being the First Lady's designer. So, she made several efforts by sending proposals to the First Lady's office and also speaking to some few important persons who were her clients and who had dealings with state top government officials to put in a word for her. But all her efforts have yielded no result so far. So, on that day when Deola told her about the news that the First Lady had contacted her to make a dress for her, Miss Sade saw it as an opportunity. She begged Deola to put in a word for her and help her convince the First Lady that she allows her make the dress instead. Tell her that I am your boss who taught you everything you know. Convince her that I can make the dress better. Mention my name to her, Miss Sade told Deola. And Deola, being one who is free-spirited and with a pure heart, actually did speak to the First Lady about it. To Deola, what was important to her was that the dress would be made in the fashion house she works, irrespective of who made the dress. It was a win-win situation for her. Also, she believed Miss Sade would do a better work because Miss Sade was her boss. However, the First Lady told Deola and insisted that she wants her to be the one to make that particular dress because she had seen the one she made for her old schoolmates. I just feel you should make the dress. I really want to see what you can do. So, I will not be pleased if you give it to your boss or anyone else to make it, the First Lady said. However, she promised Deola that she would give Miss Sade a chance and the opportunity to make the next outfit she will be making the next month. Deola told Miss Sade this, but Miss Sade did not believe Deola. She complained about it bitterly to her friend Titi, and it was Titi who advised her to impersonate and ruin Deola's handiwork. You taught her. Do you want to allow that little girl outshine you? Titi said. And so, it was Titi who took Miss Sade to the person that made a mask in the replica of Deola using a picture of her. And that afternoon, when Deola was on her way to deliver the dress, they followed her, having been trailing her for long. Titi hired two thugs who went with her, and it was the thugs who helped Titi knock out the taxi driver and Deola when they got to a quiet and non-busy area. Titi and the thugs dumped Deola in that uncompleted building she found herself that morning, while they picked the dress and gave to Sade, who was hiding in a corner the whole time. And that was how Miss Sade was able to carry out the crime. She had taken off the mask immediately she was out of the government house. That was why the security personnel couldn't find the person whom they thought was Deola. Luckily, the surveillance camera outside the government house captured her entering into an eatery which was close to the government house. She had quickly entered the eatery to take off her mask, and again, the surveillance camera at the eatery showed her entering the building as Deola but coming out as Sade in the same dress. With the truth which had now come to light through the help of the surveillance cameras, Miss Sade was arrested. Deola felt sad when she learnt about the truth, but then she still regarded Miss Sade for all she had done for her in the past. So, Deola went to the First Lady and pleaded on Miss Sade's behalf. The First Lady, being a good woman and having taken a likeness for Deola, listened to her plea. She withdrew the complaint and Miss Sade was released. Miss Sade regretted her action and also pleaded for Deola's forgiveness. But then, she lost the opportunity to sue for the First Lady, and even the top connected important clients who once patronized her stopped too when they learnt of what she did. With business no longer as usual, Miss Sade traveled to another state to start all over again and build a fashion brand. And Deola, she opened her own fashion house later and got more contracts to sew for important people and top government officials through the connection of the First Lady. The lesson to be learned from this story is that we should guard our hearts against envy and jealousy because it destroys. Miss Sade lost the opportunity to see her dream of sewing for the First Lady and more important government officials because she allowed envy take over her. If only she was patient till the following month and not listen to the bad counsel of her friend Titi. I hope you have learned something from this story. I would love to know. Please leave a comment. Thank you for listening and see you in our next story. Bye.